And we are live on the Moneyline Monaco podcast. You see it behind me. Breaking news one way or another. Gone in a New York minute. And this is the New York sports market, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into another episode of Sports Gambling with Moneyline Monaco. I'm your host, Alex Monaco. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review if you're enjoying the program. We're coming at you late on a Tuesday night. We were hitting our MSG deliverables, talking all things New York Jets. What a fascinating moment for just Jets football, for Aaron Rodgers' legacy, for, again, a random in-season moment. Let's talk historically. Let's talk all things Jets. First thing we got to mention here is New York Jets lose a 10-9 football game where they are laying 7.5 points. And I was in the stadium making a lighthearted video saying, Thursday night football, Robert Saleh, I'm running primetime stairs for him so he doesn't have to run them, so he can lock in, so he can dial in. And Robert Saleh has never really been a huge X's and O's guy. He comes by way defensively of San Francisco. He's one of those dudes who you again know is closer to a motivator and one of these kind of hires than, you call a McVay, a Shanahan, a guy that can do it with the X's and O's that's going to bring in innovation. But, that's an NFL locker room, and the discrepancy between a coordinator and a head coach. And I don't want to say it's the difference between JV and varsity, but Saleh, who comes by way of a position coach, you're in charge of not just 53 men, you're in charge of handling all outside and I don't want to call them expectations for a New York Jets team that is just looking to get in the win column. But you're in the New York market. You're with an impatient fan base that has been very patient, mind you. And everyone wants to win. Aaron Rodgers wants to win. The Jets Nation wants to win. So there's just other elements of this job that I don't think people realize how difficult it is to do. But bringing it back to just 2 weeks ago, they're off a shellacking against the New England Patriots where they looked like, all right, short weeks in the NFL. You kind of look to coaching. You do look to situational scheduling spots, and that was the third game in 11 days for the Jets. And you go back historically, how many teams got to start out back-to-back road, come back, play a Thursday night game? That's not easy to manage the maintenance, whether you're Robert Saleh, you're Bill Belichick, or you're one of the greats from back in the day, a Bill Walsh, a Landry, etc. These new territories with this scheduling and how the NFL has some of these teams going, that was rare air. 3 games in 11 days, and they come out the other end 2-1. So you drop a game you shouldn't drop in a home game against the Denver Broncos, where Bo Nix looks like a local kid just hoping to make a roster at a high school near year throwing the football. One of the worst statistical lines you'll ever see in a national football game. Bo Nix, go check it out. Week 4 in the National Football League at MetLife against the Jets, and they win the game. Now, you'll sit back, take a step back, debrief, and say, all right, Robert Saleh didn't kick the Greg the Leg field goal that shanked left, missed out the gate. Robert Saleh didn't throw, let's fast forward to this past week, a pick 6 to Van Ginkel. Finkel is Einhorn, Van Finkel. He didn't do that. So you kind of go, all right, Woody at the helm. You hear murmurs on Natty TV waves, true or not. He's got very respected friends in the UK, need to get a win around peers, had to get a result, didn't get a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium result, to quote a Premier League term. You cruise back to New York. You're still hearing chirps from your lads across the pond. Whether that's fact or not, you're hearing Schefter reports, Rappaport, whoever you follow. You see, all right, Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with this. This was the owner. Then you read through the grapevine, Saleh didn't get to address the team, just escorted out. Then you hear Rodgers had no information, just like the rest of the team. I don't know how you sit there and believe any of this. It could be smoke and mirrors. All we know is you have an impatient owner if you look at the history here, I mean, how ironic. Your draft pick in Sam Darnold cooks you on a neutral field, and then you get so wrapped up in whatever friends are saying, tabloids are saying, at 2-3, 1 game out because the Bills dropped back to back to Baltimore and to Houston. By the way, for the AFC East, top of the food chain in the division, you just go out and you fire your leader. Now, if this was let's call it Buffalo Bills offensive coordinating land with Ken Dorsey and Joe Brady, and you want to swap a bishop on the chessboard? You want to swap a bishop? You swap a bishop. You want a rook? You want to castle with the rook? You want to mix things around? Sure. But you let go of your head coach week 5 to week 6. This is the third sacrificial lamb coming out of London, by the way. It's the third head coach to be fired post a London L. Shout out Austin Powers. But you look at the facts. The last interim head coach, Rick Bisaccia, 2021 with the Raiders, who had a lot actually trending personnel-wise in the right direction. We still have Jets questions on both sides of the football. But if you're sitting here just calling it Switzerland, coming out of London with the Jets, you say the Jets defense, Saleh as a defensive coach, gives up 10 points 2 weeks ago off another unbelievable showing against the New England Patriots the week prior. So that's 2 second back-to-back solid outputs, defensively speaking. Then you go across the pond, you hold a prolific through at least September ball. Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold captained offense. You hold them to 6 points in the second half, only lose 23-17, almost not only backdoor cover, the world I live in, but you outright almost win the game. You almost win the game. Another Aaron Rodgers off moment here where you would see him ball in his hands, down 6, coming back the other way, kicking off our Sunday, coffee sold separately. He wins that game. He marches you down the field. They don't win the game. Turnover, L, lose, back-to-back. You come back to base camp. You let your head coach go, but you got to sit here and go, wait a second. We beat the Bills. We own the tiebreak in the AFC East. We're at the top of the division. Where's the patience? This is a 5th-ranked defense. This is a top 2 pasty. This is a futures betting market that has them at yes to make the playoffs at plus 116 and no minus 136, pending where you shop. These are real numbers. So you have Vegas not even giving up on this New York Jets team, who after they get through this Bills game, who, by the way, Josh Allen's good against the Jets, but he's not Josh Allen against the Dolphins. He's not Josh Allen on a Thursday night. He's Josh Allen on a Monday night, and we're not capping the game, so we're going to spare you that. But he is 7-4 versus the Jets, and he's 4-5 on Mondays. So here's a spot where the Jets are going against a banged-up Bills team on their back-to-back road game spot. Third road game in a row, because they went to the Ravens, then the Texans, then the Jets. You got them on their third road game in a desperate spot at MetLife, whole world watching. You think they might be able to win that game. Then you get past that game. Then I'm going back to the schedule here. You go, all right, Justin Fields, bottom 5, Steelers offense. If you can win that chess match defensively in that game, win the turnover battle, win the time of possession, establish a run, you win that game, that type of game, formula-wise against Pittsburgh. You pencil in a W against the Patriots. I'm sorry. Best led Rodgers game. He'd do it again, likely in New England. Then you got the Texans, who don't look great, and the Cardinals and the Colts. This is what Vegas has them at, plus minus close to. We're not exactly sure how to cap professionally the rest of this season. But you look at the numbers and you say, all right, Saleh came from San Fran to handle the defense. You got him making memes, making all kinds of different Twitter headlines. Pick a caption, any caption. With Rodgers, you got that whole thing. Here's the reality with Rodgers, and I've said this before, and I've said it for years. It's a thought I have, a psychological thought. Aaron Rodgers is single, not married, bachelor, no kids, rich, not poor, came from a team with no owner. It's owned by the fans. You can't tell him water's wet. So if he's behind this, you got to sit there and go, this is flabbergasting, because Broncos fans will tell you, ironically, in that 10-9 game, we've seen that Nathaniel Hackett story before. We've seen it before, baby. And we don't like the sequel. We ain't going to theater for it. So you'd sit here, calling it neutral, going, Hackett Saleh's guy, or Rodgers' guy, he ain't going. But Woody, as the owner, getting dragged in the group chat in the international MySpace top 8, he ain't happy. You're hearing murmurs of that. He's got to get a result. He doesn't get a result. He fires the head coach, maybe not thinking it through, maybe Dr. Evil hitting the red button. But, Saleh isn't Will Ferrell, badly hurt, not out. This is real life. He's packed his bags. Saleh is helping the Niners defense make a championship run, mark my words, by Thanksgiving. Saleh's having a Niners Thanksgiving, loving life, aging backwards, coaching positions defensively for the Niners. That is Robert Saleh coming out of this out on top. Aaron Rodgers is in a 2-year deal here with the weight of the world on him. This man was almost out. They bring him back. Right when I'm out, they bring me back. Pacino. They roped him in. He's in. You got a literal smorgasbord of talking heads that are respectable in the football world telling you, Damian Woody and Barton Hahn, what sense does that make, letting Saleh go? Shout out Bart. He said, it's been frustrating with Woody. He wants to win. Employees feel it, etc. You're going into the weeds hearing Garrett Wilson make airwaves, vocalizing frustrations. You're seeing that this is about the offense, lack of shifts, lack of motion. But you let a head coach know without a plan B. Vegas is not giving up on the Jets. I am not giving up on the Jets. But oh my gosh, thank goodness Ulbrich is jacked. Look like he puts up 225 on an off day or an on day on the bench press. This is going to be such a fascinating storyline throughout this next month of Jets football. But if they go out and they lay an egg against the Bills, they're going to end up having to blow it up again this season at some point. I don't know what, you can't just plug and play Belichick, who's cleaning pools in an underdog fantasy commercial in his Nantucket backyard, getting paid residuals, loving life, off the clock, golfing at Sanctity, having a ball. You're not getting Bill to come into this Jets mess. Where's Davante Adams in this whole thing? Where's Davante Adams? Davante Adams would be the only savior, but we're talking about Aaron Rodgers' offense not clicking. We're talking about Breece Hall getting 10 carries for 4 yards against Denver and then still not trying to establish the run. Aaron Rodgers is 40, needs a great offensive line. This whole older quarterback thing, ask Kirk Cousins, just lost his center. It doesn't work if you aren't protected. And to Rodgers' credit, he's moving around like a mensch. He's moving around. He's tiptoeing in his Jordans. He's at the ballet back there under the pocket, under duress. But he's 40. He's got above average athleticism. But we're talking about good, not great pieces to throw to. We're talking about a good, not great offensive line and an impatient owner, and now no head coach, interim head coach, and a fan base is looking at each other like, well, at least the Mets and the Yankees are in the playoffs. But we got real concerns in the locker room. Now, the difference between Rodgers and Brady is Rodgers throws a pick 6 and he breaks Wedding Crosser's rule number 6 and draws attention to himself in a negative way on the sideline. This is a man who does not go home to a woman that holds him accountable. I wish I was kidding. Girlfriend guy over here. You go home to a bachelor crib that you put up with your own hard work. You're feeling Mr. Deeds phenomenal. Win, L, or tie. Tom Brady throws a pick 6. He yells at himself. He bangs an offensive line's helmet. He gets back out there like 10-second Tom from 51st States and pretends it never happens. But that is the benefit of having a Belichick. Saleh's trying to bond. There's no cachet. There's no Super Bowl rings on his fingers. Who does Rodgers respect? Himself in the mirror. But who is Rodgers going to work with? This comes down to Rodgers. He cosigns or not. Aaron Rodgers Tuesday got moved to Aaron Rodgers Wednesday. Hashtag PMS Live, baby. So I came on here just to rip a take, air out my thoughts. Jets are plus 350 to win the AFC East. That's value right here, right now. If you think they can hold court against Buffalo, plus 350, you can buy futures. You can cash out with an ROI. This isn't just punch a ticket, pray to the high heavens. This is, you think the Jets, and this is a 2.5 point line, didn't move pre-Salah, post-Salah, depending where you shop, 2.5 point line, Monday Night Football, home court on your side. I wouldn't call it extra rest coming off a 9:30 morning Eastern time, but you come back to base camp, home game, London home game. You got to take care of business here if you're the New York Jets. But if Vegas is not bailing on the Jets, how can we? The question will become Aaron Rodgers' energy. Is he buying in, or is he going to be, and I love Carmelo, but a super skilled player that isn't yet ready to accept an Oklahoma City role? And so when you finally come around to it and you end up in a spot where you can lean on your noggin to help your athleticism, whereas your athleticism carried your noggin all those years, and Aaron Rodgers has had both, you find a way to look a lot less bad and a lot less likable on your way out. This is unfortunately, whether it was Rodgers co-signing or not, and it sounds like it wasn't, it still falls on his shoulders as the quarterback. They went all in on Broadway Rodgers. So he's got to get real spiritual, real quick, real honest, real quick. But he's got to realize he is the leader. You're 40 throwing to 26-year-olds. I mean, that's wild to sit here and think about, that these dudes had posters on in their room as kids with this guy in the league winning a Super Bowl, the lone one he did. But he's got to be the guy. He's got to gut check himself. And if he buys into him and he owns his side of the street, I do believe this is a championship defense. I know they would love a Reddick. I wouldn't say they're missing a Bryce Huff, but they need a piece or two to come in and add a little bit. But we're sitting here, again, second best pass D 2 years in a row, top 5, tied with the Bears at 17 points per game. If you're just closing your eyes in an Aaron Rodgers career and saying you're giving Aaron Rodgers a 17 points per game defense with 2 viable running backs, a star wide receiver, and a serviceable offensive line, you would think that was enough. I would think that was enough. But here we are, coachless, with old Brick trying to bring this team back together with time working against them. It was a fast week-to-week league, and they are behind the 8 ball dropping that Broncos game. I'm going to lean Jets here probably for Monday Night Football. I have to sleep on it a few nights. I have to sit here and go, Aaron Rodgers, he's allowed a bad day throughout a work week. He's allowed a bad outing. That loss to me, I mean, you sit here, 3. How many times has Aaron Rodgers thrown 3 interceptions? How many times has he thrown more interceptions than touchdowns? 29 for 54. Breece Hall, 9 carries for 23 yards. Give it to the kid, Braylon Allen. He's begging to bang bodies. So New York fans are going to be in their feels. God forbid the Yankees don't pull it together. Shout out Grimace getting the boys going at City. But this is a town thirsty, starving for championship, plural. Championships, plural. And they deserve it. It's an unbelievable sports city. So we're out of here. I'm not bailing on the Jets. This has got to be Rodgers, though, morphing Charmeleon. What is it? Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. He's got to morph from Charmeleon to Charizard, or Charmander to Charizard. I'm not off book. It's been a minute since Pokemon, and I almost said Yu-Gi-Oh! It's time to go. He's got to go in, and he's got to morph up. He doesn't, they're cooked. He's their leader. They don't even have a leader right now. Their DC is piecing stuff together. dealing with administrative. He's got Josh Allen to prepare for. We're running out of time. I'm running out of time. Subscribe, rate, review. Moneyline Monaco, all things social, goes a long way. Appreciate you listening live. Don't forget to hug your mothers. Let's go, Jets. Ta-ta real smooth.